Call to order the Ironton City Council meeting of October 27th, 2022. With us for our invocation tonight, we have Pastor Terry Jones from Resurrection Hope Church. If you would stand for our invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance immediately following.
Thank you. Shall we pray? Dear Lord, our precious Heavenly Father, we thank you first of all for your grace and your mercy. I am honored and privileged, Lord, to bring your word and to bring you in the presence of this council meeting this evening, Lord, where you are allowed to come. We are so thankful, Lord, that we have people that believe in you, that worship you, that serve you. We thank you for this council meeting, Lord, here where these public servants will be making decisions that affect your people. We pray, Lord, that they would use your thoughts. They would give careful consideration on anything and everything that is decided here this evening, Lord, that it would benefit not only them, but it benefit the people of this fine city. We ask, Lord, that you would just bless everyone that was here. Everyone in this city, Lord, that has come together to form a great place to live, a great place to worship, and a great place to serve. We thank you for these public servants here this evening, Lord, that have brought together all of these people, and they keep concerned. And Father, that they continue to serve to the best of their abilities. And we ask it all in Jesus' precious and holy name.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Pastor. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Mark.
Cleary.
Here.
Haney.
Here.
Harvey.
Here.
Hawk.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Harry. Pierce.
Here.
Mr. Perry contacted me a little bit earlier, said he had some health concerns. He was not able to make the meeting. Next on the agenda, we have the approval of minutes of the regular council meeting of October 13th, 2022, and the Finance Committee meeting of October 13th, 2022. Do we have any edits, additions, or omissions? I'm hearing none. Those minutes will stand as approved. Next, we have audience participation. If you'd like to address council, please step to the podium, state your name and address, and you will have 5 minutes to speak your concerns to the council. I am seeing none. Oh, Mayor, I didn't know if you want to go to miscellaneous or
Give it an update. Well, go ahead and do this now. First off, I think I'd like to wish John happy birthday.
happy birthday, John.
Happy birthday, John.
And people here on his birthday. Announcement that we are doing our cleanup for fall next week, November 1st through Saturday. So Tuesday, November 1st through Saturday, November 5th at the Wallahan building.
So that's at a new location, correct?
Times on that, Mayor? It's
We're
like
just finalizing it, but
it's like 8 to 3 during the week, and then
8 to 1 during
Okay.
the week. So Tuesday through Friday, and 8 to 2 is going to be Saturday. That's what we put out, but
Okay.
So it has to be there longer Saturday. The Department of Development funded demolition project that we've been waiting on for what seems like forever. We have received all the funding, put them out and awarded the bids. So all of the projects that the city has are to be completed by November 11th. I think it's around 9 properties between the city and our condemnation list that we had and land bank properties that they own as well. We've also been working with the CIC now, starting to be more active. I think we might, we're anticipating our first transfer to the CIC. We've been working with the land bank as well as the county treasurer's office on getting more activity going through that CIC. that riverfront project, we're finalizing the specs on that, the work being done, and we have to put that out to bid, and we're hoping to do that here in the next week or so. I think that's it that I've got off the top of my head. You guys have anything?
I just got a simple question. What happened with the riverboat thing?
We had sent back what we had, like utility-wise, that was available for what he was asking for. Never heard anything in. So I don't know if it wasn't enough or what's going on, but we've been proceeding, moving forward with our project at the same time.
Yeah. It's probably a better project to continue.
Got Mike and then Nate.
That was my question.
Nate?
I know you said we had the possible first activity for our CIC. I feel like we need to have an organizational meeting.
Yeah.
Because it's been, Warren hasn't been active to discuss that. And I believe, if I'm wrong, on that board was you, finance director, the solicitor, and then 2 council members from opposite terms.
Yeah, I think it was you and Angel.
So I think we need to,
Yep.
we need to have that conversation and get that going.
So I'm good with that.
I've had some residents ask about leaf collection this year. With the Lawrence Street property closed now. They want to know what to do with the leaves.
Joe has been looking actively at the leaf collector that we've discussed the past couple of years to use for that. As of right now, he's been, enforcing to stay out of the streets, don't blow them in the streets right now. We'll probably end up collecting them, having them bag them again this year just because of the timeline of obtaining one of those machines, unless we end up going with a contractor who can come through and do that.
Okay. So right now we're bagging, like we did last year.
Yeah.
Okay. This kind of ties into that. Have we got any lease agreements or contracts finalized with Solid Waste District for Wallahan for them to start?
We have not.
Okay.
We had our policy meeting with them, which that's the part that I'm involved with. And I know they did do the increase they have on the tax. That's what they were going to push, was to fund their recycling and company project.
So that they are still interested in leasing off of us to have that facility located?
They're anticipating that, yes.
Okay.
But there hasn't been anything final.
Okay. And do we have any updates on the move to that, to the new garage, how that's going, or any progress on that?
Yeah, it's just a matter of balancing, with the staff we got, and getting things up there and balancing like projects we have going on day to day. I know water distribution just about moved in. However, the city garage, which is housing, 3 or 4 departments, it's got a lot more stuff to go up that way, plus you have the impound and everything else. But I think it'll be beginning of the year at least to get everything up there.
Okay. One last thing, I didn't know if you might be able to ask Shannon if he could get rid of this stuff back here.
What is that?
Kevin Waldo's pile.
Just take it across the hall?
I don't know what it is, but it's been
Bad.
there.
It is.
For a while.
Okay, are we having any more fourth disposal days?
We have our second round of material that we have submitted a list to the Historical Society. As soon as we get the release from them to the state auditors, then we're ready to begin that process again for the second round.
We get that
It has to be-
with that?
Sorry.
Huh? Oh, it's gotta be on the list?
We have to.
I think it's
input
tortoise.
What it is.
I see some of those drawing things. It's gotta be Jim Tortoise.
I don't know what it is, it's been back there a while. I didn't know if there's like.
He's the one always whipping those.
Throw it away. Thank you.
Mike?
Mayor, at the last meeting, Mr. Pemberton said he would make a call to the company that was going to provide the lift and see what kind of timeline they were going to have for that. Did he find anything out, do you know?
I haven't talked to him about it. He may have already figured that out on his own, but I'm not sure.
The other thing is to get the move started to the Wallahan building with all the city stuff, just a thought, maybe we could hire a wrecking service that when they have downtime, they could come and pick up a few cars and get it up there, just to get that move started. I know our
Yeah, I
residents.
think we'll have to with some of those because they're not able to be moved.
I know the residents are just anxious, and as am I, to get things headed up that direction.
Are you talking about personal vehicle, like
There's-
impounded vehicles?
At the impound lot down there.
John, what, the legality of us, do we have to auction those, or what if they went through auction multiple times? Is there a limit to where they're put through auction and then?
The ones that they have listed through auction for the last 20-plus years,
Yeah.
if they're saying these vehicles are going to sell today, those vehicles sell that day. But as one group goes out of the impound lots, another group seems to go in for whatever reason, waiting for owner pickup, forfeited vehicles, etc. So it's just to the point where we need to cut off, but in order to move, in my opinion, in order to move things up to the Wallahan building, that needs to be a fenced area that still has security cameras on there.
Right.
Because 20 years ago, that was a problem that we were having, is that they were just in an area and cars were getting broken into, and then people were picking them up, and it was kind of a mess.
Well, which I agree with the security.
Well, there'll be
thing.
security for the transit.
Right.
They're already doing that.
But what I'm asking is there vehicles that's currently in the impound that are not up for auction, that are not owned, that we can eliminate from being there?
That's the goal, is once
Well, I
everything's
mean,
moved,
but
but once everything's moved, what's left is scrapped.
Okay, that's basically what I was asking. So the city is able to scrap those and do whatever with them, right? The ones that are, I guess that's what I'm asking. Maybe solicitor could have.
Yeah.
I don't know what the process, but John's saying they all sell, you know.
Yeah, there's been stuff that I would have paid,
For somebody to get rid of.
yeah, that somebody will pay us to take it.
So basically, we have nothing that's been sitting there for 4, 5, 6 years.
To my best knowledge,
Okay.
that is correct.
Thank you. That's all I need.
Unless it is retired city vehicle.
That came from the impound, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, I got you. All right. You good, Mike? I'm good. Okay, one follow-up on the leaf collector, Mayor. Does Joe Ross need the information? Because John Sides and I did a lot of research, a lot of connections with those companies. Does he need me to pass him along that information that we shared, or do you guys have that? Or?
He's been looking on his own,
Okay,
I know.
good deal.
But,
All right.
yeah, if you want to send whatever, he may have already, I don't know how many people make leaf collectors, so.
It's regional, so there's somebody from up in northern Ohio that I was speaking with, and then there's somebody from, I'm wanting to say Lexington or Louisville. We good? All right, Mayor, thank you.
In the discussion of the CIC, this was something that was at the 2021 audit through reading, the state auditors reading the minutes when the CIC was created. This is an auditable, separate institution. There has to be officer's name, et cetera, and then it will 100% be auditable. So just want to, and the reason it wasn't in 2021 is that there was literally no set-up meeting. The word you used is escaping.
Organizational.
Thank you. There was no organizational meeting. There wasn't anything in place, but we're going to be doing stuff now. That has to happen. We're going to be visiting several local banks tomorrow. We have some money that I want to make sure that we can get our best investment rates on and our best return on our revenues. So I'm meeting with virtually all local banks tomorrow. One of the banks disqualified themselves right now, said that they didn't think that they could handle that amount of money. But I will be able to report that to you at the next meeting, what looks most promising. Final thing that I have is that after nearly a year of waiting, we will be opening bids tomorrow for the new accounting software. So don't know how many people are going to submit those bids, but the deadline tomorrow for us to open up is 10 a.m. That's all I have.
Nate?
So your email with that requirement for direct deposit,
Yes.
is that something that you're wanting to move forward to? 'Cause
Yes.
Is that something that takes an act of council, or is that something that you can do on your own? I was kind of confused by.
Well, I think what, through Mr. Anderson and my communication back and forth, and I wanted to find out if that was even doable before I troubled you with it. That would be something that we would like to do, and I think that what I need, I don't know if it is an act of council. If it would be, it'd be in resolution format, I would think, since it's not going to be a law. And I don't know if I ought to have it in resolution or if a blessing is okay.
A blessing's okay unless you feel more comfortable with resolution.
I always feel more comfortable.
With a miscellaneous.
How many people don't use it?
About 8.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to have to change it for 8 people. Just so you know, direct deposit.
Well, yeah, and that's what I like. I always prefer everything as resolution because then there's a paper trail on it. So if anybody would be interested in sponsoring that, thank you, Jacob and Nate. I appreciate it. And Bob, thank you all very much.
Thank you, John. Good. Moving on to communications, there are none. Reports, there are none. Moving along to ordinances. Marta, would you please give ordinance 2255 first reading?
Authorizing the mayor to enter into a consulting services agreement with IBI Group for the wastewater treatment plant site investigation and miscellaneous sewer work and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Bob?
The Finance Committee give that favorable recommendation, and I'd like to further go in and say to suspend the rules, give a second, third reading by title only.
Jacob?
I'll second that motion.
PUC gave it a favorable recommendation as well.
That's what I was hoping you were going to mention. So favorable recommendation by PUC and Finance. We have a motion by Bob and a second by Jacob. Suspend the rules. Roll call, please.
Cleary.
Aye.
Haney.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Pierce.
Aye.
Quick discussion on that.
Yes.
This was stated in the PUC meeting that regardless of which direction we go with the sewer treatment plant, we're going to have this site investigation, and this report done to go after any type of infrastructure grants, correct? So this is kind of time sensitive, and to go after any funding that's available through government grants, we have to have some type of blueprint or whatever completed to submit any grant funding,
Correct.
So, just a little bit of tidbit on that. Marta, would you please give ordinance 2255 second and third reading?
Authorizing the mayor to enter into a consulting services agreement with IBI Group for the wastewater treatment plant site investigation and miscellaneous sewer work and declaring an emergency. Second reading. Authorizing the mayor to enter into a consulting services agreement with IBI Group for the wastewater treatment plant site investigation and miscellaneous sewer work and declaring an emergency. Third reading.
Bob?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2255.
Mike?
Second.
Have a motion by Bob, a second by Mike to adopt ordinance 2255. Roll call, please.
Cleary.
Aye.
Haney.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Pierce.
Aye.
Ordinance 2255 has been adopted. Moving on to ordinance 2256. Would you please give that first reading, Mark?
Establishing a short-term rental Airbnb tax and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Bob?
Make a motion to suspend the rules and give ordinance 2256 second and third reading by title.
Jacob?
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Bob and a second by Jacob to suspend the rules. Roll call, please. Hang on. Nate? Discussion.
This is 56, correct?
2256.
Yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure, like, enforcement-wise, it says the finance department on the 10th day of each month. Right now, the hotel tax, those hotels kind of self-report that automatically. I'm just want to clarify. The finance department need to reach out to Airbnb or VRBO or Turnkey or whoever it is to notify them of the tax, and they collect it, or I'm not sure how that.
Yeah, I think so. That's whenever I know at least on the user end, they include those taxes when you pay. Like it
Okay.
shows local tax and fees.
So that's something we have to notify them if this is.
I would think so, yeah.
Okay.
So are you asking if we need a registry for that or something, or?
I don't think you have to, I think you would just have the Airbnb, the platform is going to automatically incorporate that.
I just want to know operational wise, what we need to do to make sure that it's being withheld.
I agree. Greg?
Yeah, I had the same kind of like logistical questions and if it was automated or if it was manual, and it sounds like it's manual on our process. So I was going to vote no to suspend the rules just for that reason. I think the legislation is warranted and that we do need, that's fair to the hotels that we collect for bed and breakfasts, et cetera. But I want to make sure that we have identified those. So anyway, I just had logistical questions too.
I had a question for the solicitor. Since it specifically says short-term rental Airbnb, which is a proper name, does that limit it? Because there are many other formats that are short terms.
In section 1, it defines what that is. So it would be anyone providing a room or space for less than 30 consecutive days for charge.
As long as it's all encompassing there. Yeah, okay.
Jacob?
I'll rescind my second of that motion.
Just a little bit of discussion on this is, I also, for one thing I want on the record, Mr. Harvey, when I talked to you about, you also wanted to be a sponsor on this, correct? Can you add him as a sponsor on that? Okay. And like I said, I think it's only fair, we were asking hotels for the city's 3%, and I think it's only fair to ask other rentals for their short-term rentals for 3%. We're not picking and choosing here. It's all inclusive. But I also agree that you know, this wasn't, like, I put a lot of this together, was asking for some input, and, yeah, I agree, there's some things in here that we probably need to amend, and, protocol wise,
I don't know if we need to amend the language in this. I just think we need to know operationally how that's going to be collected. I don't think there's anything here that needs to be.
This provides the same way as the hotel motel taxes collect. They're supposed to pay it to the finance director.
So,
I went ahead and like, it automatically generates, you know, a stay at an Airbnb is going to be different if I stay a day or two, just like a hotel. But like at the bottom, whenever you know, pick how many overnights, you know, it automatically generates your occupancy taxes and the fees that are associated. So like, if I were to stay at this one, it's $18 for one night.
I think the question is how are we going to ensure that we are getting that from?
Airbnb has to send it to you.
So do we have to contact Airbnb?
They're collecting it from the person, unless there's a, I don't know how.
If you're doing it privately, it
But
is a different story.
yeah.
I agree, I mean, I agree to have a little bit more discussion.
If people are doing like $10.99 versus.
Right.
I think the thing is, I just didn't want us, I think we all see the need for that. I just didn't want it to pass tonight and then John go, how do we carry this out?
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
I wanted at least to have a little bit of time for him to be able to know how to collect that, yeah.
I agree.
Mr. Chairman, do we have any idea how many Airbnbs?
Right now, there's one, but if there's one, there's gonna be 100. You know, I mean, we've seen that in other aspects. So, and this was one thing that we should have probably incorporated when we did the hotels, but, you know, it is what it is, and this is an industry that's up and coming, and, you know, I think we felt it was important to jump on it before it became, you know, bigger than what it is right now. Everybody good? All right, moving on to ordinance 2257. Would you please give that first reading, Morgan?
Ordinance for removal of existing traffic signals on US 52 and State Route 93 and replacing them with roundabouts and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Good. All right. Nate?
is there a need for time-wise on that? Yeah.
Yeah, so they can start integrating it into the scope of work. Like, I mean, we have until, they're in the design phase right now, second phase and whatnot.
To get this, the conduit and all that stuff integrated into what they're planning.
So this has to be Nate.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and give ordinance 2257 second, third reading by title.
Bob?
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Nate, and a second by Bob to suspend the rules. Roll call, please, Martin.
Cleary.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Pierce.
Aye.
The rules have been suspended for ordinance 2257. Would you please give that second and third reading by title only?
Ordinance for removal of existing traffic signals on US 52 State Route 93 and replacing them with roundabouts and declaring an emergency. Second reading. Ordinance for removal of existing traffic signals on US 52 State Route 93 and replacing them with roundabouts and declaring an emergency. Third reading.
Bob?
I'd like the minutes to show that we, Finance Committee give a favorable recommendation. And I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2257.
Jacob?
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Bob and a second by Jacob to adopt ordinance 2257. Roll call, please.
Cleary.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Pierce.
Aye.
Ordinance 2257 has been adopted. Moving on to ordinance 2250. Would you please give that second reading, Martin?
Ordinance to establish a business zoning permit. Second reading.
Nate?
Discussion. I want to thank Brent Hiles, he's here tonight again, for continued discussion of this ordinance. think there's some things that we've talked about that we'd like to possibly change, amend on this. I'd like to discuss a few of those things right now, and then kind of want to get Matt's opinion on whether to possibly draft a new ordinance or go through the amendment process for this. So in talking to where it has the fee amount of $50, again, in talking to Craig also, the idea is not to tax or put a burden on businesses, but we want to make sure it's a break even for that. So we're looking at changing the dollar amount for the permit fee from $50 to $2 for that. For making sure that there's language that includes that filing of the permit is required if there is any new or additional new or change of locations, new locations or change of locations in that. Also, establishing what department that's to monitor that. Would like for that to fall on both income tax department and zoning code enforcement. Correct. And establishing, in section 4, establishing where any fines or permit revenues be credited to. That would be 50% would be to the Economic Development Fund and 50% to the Community Improvement Development Fund. That would be invested in businesses in town. The only other one I see here is not applying to existing businesses. That's something I'd like to have some discussion on. I would like to myself personally see it apply to existing businesses. You have a good registry of those businesses and their locations, the zones that they're located in, to keep track of that. So I don't know if there's anybody else has an opinion on that. I have something else I'd like to get. Correct.
Yeah, when Nate very first brought this up, we had discussion then, and it fell off the radar, and then it came back up for legislation, and I wasn't here last time, so I apologize, but we talked before the meeting, and not to belabor a second reading, but the whole purpose of any kind of fee associated with that would be mailings, so covering postage and envelopes, so that, I mean, I hope that in the future we have, 1,200 businesses, and at 58 cents a stamp for 1,200, it would be a loss to the city. So I think to be good financial stewards, we have to break even on mailing and sending out a permit and that kind of thing. But to show the businesses, this is to keep track for us, so that our income tax office knows who has a business in town and who doesn't. We need an active registry, old businesses, new businesses, but it's not a fee. We just need to know a list, and we're charging you $2 to cover our cost of printing, mailing, etc. And in return for that, I think that we've had a lot of upgrades with our city website, being able to pay things online, being able to report things online, and I think that the offset to that $2 would be some advertising. When we get a list of businesses, being able to list, these are our businesses in town, because there are some businesses that I'm quite sure people in Ironton have no idea that they exist, and may go to Ashland or Huntington or Flatwoods for, and can see on the city website, well, didn't know we had a grooming shop in town. So I think that that's the offset to that $2 fee, is that they get free $2 advertising on the city website to say these are our businesses in town.
The other thing was too, and I agree with Mr. Plyles, is a definition of what a business is. And when I talked to Brigham about this, he said the definition was in our codified ordinance, but I was not able to find that in there. So I didn't know if you would be able to research and make sure that's in the definition. And if
Did you look in the zoning part?
I did. I think it was 1250 maybe. If you might be able to identify that definition, and then if not, if we could develop that definition.
So your question, I would say with all these changes, we'd just do a new ordinance.
Okay. All right.
And then, I mean, if whoever wants to have some input, get to us what you kind of like in it, and we'll put it in legal form.
Okay.
And then the last meeting, you also changed biennial or biennial, so make sure that's included, yeah. Make sure
And
that's
then,
included.
if you don't care, is there anything that I missed in our conversation with that?
I don't think so, Mr. Klein. The only thing that I would, similar to what Mr. Klein said, I wasn't able to find the definition of business. My resources are rather old, so maybe something else. But the thing that I would be concerned about is that we do have a definition that encompasses all of it. Just not brick and mortar things, but electronic business, things like that, that you really don't see the people making money on it in the city. That kind of definition, I think, needs to be applied to something like this, if you're going to say all business.
21st century language, I agree. One thing I do kind of want to piggyback off of Nate and Craig is that I think if I were a business owner that had to do this, I would appreciate it because, listen, I want to try to do things the right way. I expect any competitors, which competition is a good thing when it comes to business, but I want my competitors to also have to follow these guidelines and register and make sure they're zoned right, and make sure this and that. So if I'm a business owner, I would see this and say, well, I appreciate that because I'm making sure that, somebody that's maybe not in the right zone, that is not maybe, doing things the right way can be held accountable for the things that I'm doing right. So I appreciate your work on this, Nate, and
One more thing.
Craig.
I don't know who's compiling this, but if it's all of us, one more thing I'd like to see carved out would be, and I know it's to show that it's not about the fee, it's about registering. We've had a separate legislation for food truck registries, and anything like that I may have missed that we've carved out separately and identified businesses that we've charged a fee to, subtract that $2 from their fee.
Okay.
Just so they're not paying $52 or what, you know what I mean? I'd like to see them, if they're paying a fee for a permit to operate in the city, for us to waive that or for it to be included in their fee.
So for any other existing permit?
Yes.
Okay. The fee be waived?
Yes.
If we're going to create a definition for business, I ask that we please be mindful to differentiate between a business and a hobby. I think the federal government does that. Jimmy John, who carves 15 wooden horses and sells them on Vernon, the pumpkins on Vernon, is not, in my opinion, is not a business, it's a hobby. And he makes some profit, but I don't think we want to impose on those folks that are just doing hobbies like that. And that's my thoughts.
Want to research the federal definition of business.
So just to clarify moving forward, Matt, do you have everything you need here, or do I need to get with you?
You need to get it,
Okay.
because some others are incorporating things.
Okay. All right.
We'll get a holistic new ordinance to you at some
Okay.
point.
All right.
And on this ordinance, you've given second reading, it'll get third reading next week, and just no one will just die, no lack of a motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do want to say, I wanted to get the discussion started, and I would like to thank, to help get that, at least the draft going forward for that permit form and everything. I want to get it from the state.
I agree.
But I do appreciate Mr. Piles and his input. Thank you, and hopefully we get something going forward. Thank you.
I agree, thank you. Good on that. Well, oh, there it is. Lost my agenda there for a second, I was reading through the ordinance. Moving on to resolutions. Marta, would you please give reading to resolution 2258?
To approve then and now certificates in excess of $3,000 for payment to People's Bank.
Bob?
Make motion we pass resolution 2258 as it was, given favorable recommendation by the finance committee.
It was, I've got a motion, Jacob,
I'll second that motion.
I'd like to just get a little bit of clarification on this. This was from John, this was a clerical error from the bank to us, correct?
I don't know where the error originated.
Communication error. Would you say that?
Invoicing.
Invoicing error, gotcha. Okay. So we have a motion by Bob and second by Jacob. Roll call, please, Mark.
Cleary.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Pierce.
Aye.
Resolution 2258 is passed. Moving on to miscellaneous. I've got three things. Want to mention citywide trick or treat is Monday, the 31st, 6 to 8 o'clock. Want to hope that everybody has a safe and fun-filled trick or treat. Second thing I want to mention is our second round of Ironton Recreation basketball sign-ups. That'll be the 29th down in the city building lobby from 9 to 11. We're getting together hopefully on a third registration date for that. So that'll be this coming Saturday, 9 to 11, downstairs in the lobby. Third thing is the rec levy will be on the ballot on November 8th. What the rec levy does is maintain parks, provides, I would say, matching funds for us to receive grants, and it allows us to expand child and adult recreation opportunities.
Yes. Just want to mention that we still have several signs available for pickup at BC Tool Rental. Everybody wants a sign for their yard, they drive by, stop, and we'll give you one.
Red sign at BC Tool Rental. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
Free advertising.
Yep. Also, I want to double up on the fall cleanup. Mayor stated earlier, November 1st through Saturday, correct? Through Saturday, throughout the week, 8 to 1, and then Saturday it's 8 to 2. All right, thank you.
No tires or e-waste in that, all right?
No tires, e-waste, or
Yeah,
large
yeah,
appliances.
It's gonna run through the paper and it's on the website.
All right.
Thank
Everybody good?
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Bob, Craig.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Cleary.
Aye.
Haney.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Pierce.
Aye.
Done with both meetings.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight.